How's it going, guys? It's Kass. As always, if you've been enjoying my content, then hit that subscribe button. So today's just going to be a quick video where I talk about the talents that I'm specifically using in PvP for Vengeance, specifically in Rbgs. I won't be talking about Arena because I don't think tanks belong in Arena, and after the changes to the hunt with the potency conduit being nerfed, Vengeance just really isn't that good. The days of one-shotting people in Vengeance is gone. So that being said, we'll talk about the talents here and some of the options I chose, as well as some of the honorable mentions. The talent that I enjoy the most in the first row is Agonizing Flames. I'm using it when I am using it also with Infernal Armor because it increases the duration of Immolation Aura, and you also get move speed when you have Immolation Aura pressed, which is pretty nice. Abyssal Strike could be an option as well because it reduces the cooldown of Inferno Strike. It's pretty good whenever you are on flag carry maps just because of how many Infernal Strikes that you get. The next row here, I chose Feast of Souls. I'm not using Spirit Bombs, so the only thing I'm spending Fury on is Soul Cleaves, so it just gives you some additional healing from Soul Cleaves. Fallout is kind of interesting, but the main issue with it is most of the time when you're pressing Immolation Aura, you're pressing it at the beginning of fights, not during the middle of fights when you need the healing and when you need the Shattered Souls. So the actual healing output that you get from the Shattered Souls from Fallout isn't actually that high in a lot of situations. Burning Alive could be okay, but I'm using the Darkest Hour legendary, not the Fiery Brand legendary, so I'm not going to be taking Burning Alive. The main reason why I'm using Darkest Hour is because I play Havoc and Vengeance, and this is a very good tool for both of them. For Vengeance, it's very nice, especially on flag carry maps when you get to high stacks. It basically just gives you access to darkness whenever you fall below 35% health. This will be a ability that will save your life in a lot of situations, and it also basically makes it so I don't have to run Last Resort. Then we have, moving on, we have the Infernal Armor row. This row is also a pretty interesting row. I think Spirit Bomb is probably okay to use. I just personally don't like pulling souls ever in PvP. I think having access to souls to be able to spend consistently is very, very good just for general survivability. So that's why I don't take Spirit Bomb. Also, the amount of damage that we do in a lot of situations isn't that crazy, so the 10% healing isn't going to be that great. Infernal Armor is very, very nice because it obviously works very well with Agonizing Flames, and it gives you a little bit of damage to melee attackers on top of increasing your armor by 20%, so it's just a very nice survivability. Charred Flesh is another situation where if I was using a Fiery Brand legendary, it could be a good option also. In this next row, I chose Soul Rending specifically because of how much healing you get in Metamorphosis. Whenever you're soul holding points, it's very nice to have just because you can trinket and then meta, and you're basically never going to die. You could trinket meta, press your Feldev, and then type the inks, and then by the time you're done typing the inks, you're chilling with full health basically because of Soul Rending and Fel Devastation when using these two talents that we'll talk about in a bit. Then we have Feed the Demon. It's also pretty good. It gives you more access to demon spikes, which will save your life in a lot of situations. Fracture also could be good too. It gives you a little bit more damage in when you're actually pressing your shear button, which is now Fracture obviously, and it gives you a little bit more bursty heals, but 2 versus 1 soul fragment isn't really going to change too much in a lot of situations. For this row here, Concentrated Sigils is one of those very lazy talents that Blizzard implemented. The effect of having the sigils only cast on you is something you can do with macros, so half of the talent is something that's just not even useful. And then the second half of the talent, while it is pretty good to have a 2-second silence for longer and fear, the likelihood that your fear isn't getting broken in a lot of these situations is very low, and a 2-second increased silence isn't that impactful in a lot of situations. Quicken Sigil is what I enjoy personally, just because it makes it so people can't really run out of your sigils at all. Whenever you're using Sigil Mastery and Quicken Sigil together, it's very, very nice because you get a lot of access to multiple sigil usages throughout team fights. Sigil Chains is probably just a meme option, especially given the fact that we're going to be holding the flag in most situations. Because honestly, the only time I could see Sigil of Chains being that great is in situations where you can use it to grip the flag carrier back to a group. But like I said, you're going to be holding the flag most of the time, so it's probably not that great of an option. Void Reaver is probably just a noob trap. In most situations, you're going to be hitting only the healer or the specific target that's going to be called, and you're probably not going to want to switch off and use soul cleaves on other players just to get 6% reduced damage taken for only 12 seconds. Demonic is just a much better option than the option I chose, just because in tandem with Soul Rending and Ruinous Bulwark, you basically get this as a never die button. Even if your I-beam is kicked, or your, Fel Devastation is kicked, you're still going to get the situation where you have the increased leech, and you basically will never die in those situations. Next, we have Soul Barrier. Soul Barrier is another situation with Spirit Bomb that I don't personally like. It basically forces you to build up a bunch of soul fragments before using it, and it just doesn't really feel that great to use. The final row is probably just a selection between these two. I don't like Last Resort that much just because I'm using the Darkness Legendary also. Obviously, Last Resort is a cheat death, so the real interaction between these two doesn't really exist, but a lot of the same ideas behind them do, with just being that final stand button for Demon Hunter. While Last Resort is a decent option in a lot of the situations that you will be dying, there are going to be in situations where your healers are also dead. So the likelihood that it saves your life for any much longer than what you could actually get from using like Ruinous Bulwark, for example, is very slim, just given the fact that most likely your healers are dead and you just got procced, so you're probably not going to be able to heal to full before they kill you again. Next, we have my choice, which is Ruinous Bulwark. Basically just makes Fel Devastation even better, and also makes you get into situations where sometimes you press Fel Devastation and someone gets a crit on the heal on you and you are full health, but then it also gives you the Absorb Shield for the healing of Fel Devastation, which is super nice. Then last is Bulwark Extraction. This is just a meme. It might be okay whenever you're playing like Soul Barrier, but given the cooldown, it's probably just never a good option to take. Then finally, we'll move into the PvP talents. Honestly, all of these PvP talents are pretty good. The only one I would stay away from is Illidan's Grasp, because currently I believe at this point it's still bugged. Whenever you cast it, it still does the strangulation portion. However, it doesn't allow you to actually throw the target, which is honestly the only reason why this is a good option in general, because you can obviously throw flag carriers off the map with it on something like Eye of Storm, which is very nice. The main options that I use generally is just Jagged Spikes, because obviously there's a lot of melee that hits you, and it's basically a 30% thorns, which is super good for just reflecting damage. Then Unending Hatred is super nice. You get almost infinite fury when you have a lot of people attacking you all at once. It also allows you to get fury whenever you're stuck in stuns, so when you come out of the stun, you're going to have fury on soul cleaves right away to get the healing rolling. There's a lot of situations where I feel like I almost have too much fury with Unending Hatred, which is always a very good situation. Sigil Mastery is probably the main one I would change between. With Quickened Sigils, it's very nice. However, if you're in comms, Reverse Magic is also very good to be able to line up Reverse Magic to get healers out of CC and basically save them from trinketing or using defensives in those situations. It's just generally a good option whenever you can communicate well. Demonic Trample is also pretty good on non-flag carrier maps. The main reason why it's not good on flag carrier maps is the amount of distance that you actually travel with it, and the movement speed increase is reduced a lot when you have the flag, so it's actually not that great. Cleanse by Flame is very good too, because it gets you out of roots, and it also gets dots off of you too, so it can save your life. As well as Detainment. Detainment's also a good option. It'll make it so people can't get out of your stuns, and also make it so they can't be healed during them, so it can get you a situation where you secure a kill with it. Also, Tormentor could be good too. It's one of those things where there's just so many good options that it's probably not going to ever be taken, but a 15% damage increase to the target is also very good. And that's really it when it comes to talents. I want to just be blatantly honest though. When it comes to the things that I specifically choose, these are things that I enjoy playing. They are not necessarily the best option. So I would suggest testing them and seeing if you enjoy playing with them and are successful with them. If you are, great. If not, then go ahead and test some of the different options that I talked about in this video, and hopefully you'll like those a little bit better. When it comes to playing RBGs, a lot of it's less about player skill and more about the group comps that you have. The main thing that you want to understand is you want to understand how to flag run, and you want to understand just generally what your role is. And your role is basically to just be disruptive in team fights, to execute people with the hunt. That's a big thing that you can provide as Demon Hunter, and something you always want to be looking forward to use whenever you're attacking the same target as the rest of your team. As always, if you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, F5, refresh, try it again. Maybe you like it the second time. Have a good one.